Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk about a really cool venue that's got some great music. It's called Mickey's Black Box and it's up at Lititz. And with me right now is the Director of Events. We have Margret Cooper. Thank you for being here, Margret.
Thank you for having me, Diane. It's great to be here.
I'm so glad you're here because I'm so glad what you're doing with this. Now, for those of us, let's try to understand exactly what this is. First of all, Michael Tate. Tell us about Michael.
All right. So, as some of you might be familiar, Lititz was a kind of the brainchild, shall we say, of Claire Global and Tate Towers, two local production companies that are known the world over. Tate Towers focuses on staging and things like that. I'm not sure if you saw the Super Bowl halftime performance with Rihanna. That was their brainchild there. Wow. With the levitating platform. It's very cool. And Claire Global actually does a lot of audio. Pretty much most major tours work with them.
Okay.
So it's very exciting what's going on there. Now, focusing on Mickey's, that's my specialty.
Okay.
Michael Tate recently retired from Tate Towers and decided, well, what do I do with my free time but create a theater in my backyard?
Yes.
So he built this for the community as an effort to support some of the lesser known, lesser supported arts while also creating a platform that is, shall we say, flexible and malleable enough to welcome in even the largest of tours. Mm-hmm. We've welcomed in Yes from back in the 70s, if you're a fan of progressive rock. We've had Maggie Rogers. She's quite a big star right now. And a couple other just really big names. But then we also have a platform where we can welcome in some smaller artists and provide them the same space that normally they wouldn't have access to, as we have a little bit more flexibility than some of these other venues they're touring through.
It's a beautiful space. I was there and got to talk with you there. I mean, it literally is that big black box, you know, you see that. And when you go inside, I was impressed with how intimate it felt, but you said it seats 650 people. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Now, it is a little bit of a caveat there. Now, we seat 350 when we're in our theater mode. We have a little bit of a exciting feature of our building where our floor flies up into the ceiling, and then we have chairs that come up from the ground. So we're a bit like a pop-up book, as I like to refer to it as.
Yeah.
So fully seated, we're at 350. Now full admission, we're at 650. Once again, that gives us that flexibility to kind of pivot around the needs of our clients, our artists, and our guests as they come through.
Okay. Now you do some interesting things there, and you tie in with nonprofits too. Tell me about that.
Yes. Now, part of our mission statement at Mickey's Black Box is to not only support up-and-coming artists in the lesser-known arts, but also to provide a space for the community to gather and celebrate and just be a community.
Yeah.
So we've hosted everything from private parties, galas, formal functions to nonprofit events. We're actually looking forward to welcoming Aaron's Acres for their 25th anniversary party this summer, as well as we have Kathy's Circle of Friends. If you're familiar with them, they are a partnership with Primitives by Kathy. We're going to do an adult prom here this month. So we're really just looking forward to just being a community fixture and finding where we fit in and how we can best support that mission.
And that's a community center area too, isn't it? I mean, you really can look at it that way, right?
Oh, yes. Now we're just up 501 past Lititz on the other side of town, so about 20 minutes from Lancaster City. Although there does seem to be a big vacuum for a venue of our size in this area. We have a lot of wedding venues in this region and some more formal venues of our size. We also have the convention center, which is far exceeds our capacity.
Right.
So it is kind of a nice time, especially unfortunately with Chameleon leaving post-pandemic, to kind of provide that mid-size room. We are called a club by definition. So we are a nice club-size room for artists that are going to tour through.
Well, that and we've lost the village too. So there's been a lot of loss with that type of venue. You have some more things that are talking about the mission.
Oh, yes.
Address those because I think this is really interesting.
Yeah, so one of the things that, of course, we are really focused on, and this was, I think, Michael's vision, Mickey as I call him, since I've been working under his tenure at the Black Box, is to connect others and to provide support in creating these events and creating what the client envisions. So one of the things we do as a black box is, well, we're truly a black box. You can really do anything with our space.
Right.
So we try to provide that we try to go the extra mile and assist the clients with creating their event exactly as they would like to see it. So I've seen everything from, well, goodness gracious, today I saw a chicken wire cocoon flying through the theater. I have seen video walls go up in a day's time.
Wow.
I've seen pyrotechnics and flames shooting off our stage, and really, we can do it all.
Wow.
That's, I guess, more on the production side. But when
Okay.
it comes to the nonprofits, we also take that same approach. So we try to work with nonprofits on pricing, access points. We try to give them as much support as possible in-house with our in-house staff and our technical equipment to try to support their vision. So we are kind of, shall we say, a blank canvas.
Yeah.
And we provide the paint, we provide the paintbrushes, and if you want to bring your own, that's fine too. And we
Yeah.
just make masterpieces.
I love that. And what I think is also very interesting that I didn't realize is that there's also food and drink available there too. So, I mean, you've got whatever the show or performance is, but there's more going on.
Yes, that is true. One of the things we pride ourselves on, for better or for worse, is we have a full bar on site, which is beer, liquor, and wine. So it's nice for people to have those options, especially when you consider one of our jazz nights or a theatrical performance. You might want a nice glass of wine, but if you're going to come see your favorite rock band, you might prefer something a little lighter.
Sure.
So we kind of run the gambit of all options. We also have a small kitchen on site. We serve light bites, little snacks, things like that to keep the crowd going through the night. And then we also have some catering options that we can tailor to the specific needs of the guests, should they be interested.
Okay, that sounds really good. Is there a website with any of this?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. So you'll find us at mickeysblackbox.com. We're also on Facebook under Mickey's Black Box and Instagram, Mickey's Black Box. Quick note for those out there, that's Mickeys.
Okay.
Sometimes people get
Yes.
a bit confused there. You can find all of our updated calendar, our upcoming shows, more information to contact us, email, phone number, and all that good stuff, as well as some fun glamour shots of the building.
Oh, that's good. That's always good to check all that out. So I think we would probably say that this is pretty an eclectic type of venue, right?
I think that is a perfect adjective to describe our project. We are eclectic, we are versatile. They call me the director of events. I call myself a professional pivoter because we're always trying to accommodate the needs of our guests and see how we can make the events just what they're envisioning.
So if someone has an idea or a project, how do they go about making this happen with you?
So essentially what we do is we field emails. We have an email form on our website to request information on an event. And then either myself or Jimmy Gallo, he's our general manager, will reach out to the client and we just talk one-on-one and say, what are you thinking of and how can we make this special?
I love that because it's almost like anything, the idea will be entertained.
Yes, we really take pride in that. Really, if this sounds so cheesy and I tell everyone this, but if you dream it, we can do it. And it's
There you
really the
go.
truth of it. Sometimes that can be a bit intimidating for people because it is just a big black box.
Right.
But once the paint gets put on the canvas, it really comes together.
Yeah. So when somebody has an idea, they can come to you and the whole thing gets put together, which is what our second half is going to be about because Tim came to you with a wonderful idea, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give too much away for the second half, but to spoil it a little bit, we are very, very thrilled to welcome in the 5 Fresh Takes on Jazz series, highlighting emerging women composers in jazz. It's an absolutely fantastic series. I am so grateful that Tim brought this idea to me. It's a cause near and dear to my heart as I believe in supporting up-and-coming women, original composers. My
Yes.
goodness gracious, I'll tell you, I stay in the office side because you don't want me playing music on that stage. And it just blows my mind, the talent that's out there
Yeah.
that gets glossed over, unfortunately.
And that's what this opportunity at Mickey's Black Box, that's the whole idea, to give this opportunity for underserved.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. The artists that are deserving of that stage, that are skilled, that are talented, but just need that door to be opened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll tell you what, their talent has gotten them everywhere. I hate to say we're doing any favors because I truly believe they're doing us a favor by gracing our stage, but nonetheless, we're happy to provide that opportunity.
Well, I'm glad you do. So I know there are people that want to hear about this because we've actually had a couple of the performances, but there are more coming up. So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, more details. Stay with us. You're watching Lancaster Community TV, LCTV 66. Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We're talking about all the great entertainment that's coming to Mickey's Black Box up at Rock Lititz. And joining Margaret and myself is Tim Mekeel. You are a jazz enthusiast. You are also the manager of Temple Avenue. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Boy, you came up with this idea and talked to Margret about doing these young women and jazz composers. And we've had a couple of the performances already. The first one was in April. Now, who was that, Tim?
That was Gosia May. She's a native of Poland, now living in the Netherlands, and came to Temple University to get her master's in jazz studies.
Okay. So what was her feel for the performance? What was it like?
She's an unusually inventive composer and performer. She also has just a delightful personality.
Okay.
So that's just so much fun to see her. And she had an excellent band with her. It was a high energy performance with Gosia.
And what's great about this, it's giving a platform for these young women, right, Margret?
Yes, exactly. One of our missions, once again, is just providing that space for up-and-coming artists to truly shine.
Yeah.
And we are honestly thrilled to have some of these artists on our 5 Fresh Take series to even be gracing our stage.
Absolutely. So the second one on May 7th, Tammy.
Tammy Wynn's band, the Tamu. She's a Vietnamese-American composer living in New York City. She got her bachelor's at Temple and then her master's from Manhattan School of Music. She's also really creative and distinctive. She takes jazz fusion, which is jazz plus rock plus funk, but she also is into poetry and experimental music. So her music is really different than the other 4 composers in this series, but you could say that about each one.
Right.
Each one's different,
Right.
in their own way, and it's just amazing to see the creativity that Tammy brings to the stage. It's really fun to hear also.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, what I love about it, it's 5 performances, so it's been April, May, we've got June coming up. You're taking off July and August, but coming back September and October. So the next performance is June what?
June 11th, that's
who
going to
is
be
that?
a trombonist named
Ooh.
Gina Benalcazar. This is more of a straight-ahead jazz band.
Okay.
Like I said, we picked these 5 composers because each one has a distinctive quality about their work. Gina's band, like I said, more of a straight-ahead approach, and this band also has the most local connections of the 5. Drummer and the piano player are Manham Township grads.
All right.
The saxophonist is a Governor Mifflin grad, Berks County.
Okay.
So there's going hopefully folks will come out and see what those local folks are up to.
Yeah. Well, we have them performances in the fall, but how did you go about coming up with this list and like eliminating, and how did you even go after?
Well, our September series features Laura Sherrod. Now, we actually welcomed her recently for one of our Thursday night jazz series. And I'll be honest, I was completely blown away with her music, her lyrics, her artistry, very feminist. I really appreciated that about her. So I approached her and I said, I love what you're doing. This is absolutely fantastic. If I could make your songs my ringtone, I certainly would, because it's just got so much soul. So I had mentioned that to Tim, and Tim said, I think I've got an idea here. I know quite a few ladies that have quite a few great talents, and we just kind of started brainstorming, and it became a series.
Okay. So that's how it happened. And you've got connections all over the place with jazz, don't you, Tim?
Well, I have some connections in this area. I'll go that far. That's very kind of you to say that. These are artists that I've met through managing my son's jazz band, which is Temple Avenue, over the years, for the past 12 years. And for a long time, I've thought it would be wonderful to find a way to give these young composers a forum.
Mm-hmm.
And Margret jumped right in with both feet. So a huge shout out to Margret and Mickey's Black Box. They've been incredibly welcoming and supportive, and bringing these young artists to Lancaster County.
Sure. So the October performance, the 5th in this series, what's the date and who is that?
So that'll be October 22nd with Laura Lizcano. Now, while I'm a big jazz enthusiast, I am not a professional jazz enthusiast. So I'll let Tim describe the music in a little bit more technical terms.
Go for it.
Laura is an immigrant from Colombia, South America. She's been in the States since she was a child. She now lives in New York City. Her compositions, again, different from the other four. She is a singer and composer, of course, backed usually, and as she will be at Mickey's, with a cellist and a guitarist.
Okay.
So it's jazz kind of folk, with some classical touches too. And again, different instrumentation than the other four bands in this series. It's beautiful music. I think audiences will love it.
Yeah, this is a great series. So of course, I've got to throw out a little teaser. Do you think you'll continue this series at all?
I think we'll see what we can do. But if the crowds are hungry for jazz, well, we've got jazz. That's for darn sure.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So I would imagine too, when you were doing this, Tim, you're looking at a broad scope. Where did you go? I mean, seriously, to find some of these artists.
These are folks that who I had met just over the years. Like I said, through managing my son's band and going to hear other bands.
Okay.
It's just...
It just all comes together. So why don't plug Temple Avenue while we have the opportunity. Let's tell us about Temple Avenue.
It's a Lancaster-based band. Most of the musicians over the years have been Temple graduates. When it started 12 years ago, they were Temple students. Okay. But Temple has a prestigious jazz program.
Absolutely.
For the Mid-Atlantic region. It's fabulous, and it draws students from, I should have said it's a nationally recognized program, not just in the Mid-Atlantic area.
Okay. All right. So I know there are a lot of other things that are to be coming with Mickey's Black Box. So once again, for those that might have forgotten, it's really easy. What's the website? Where do we go for this?
That is mickey'sblackbox.com. You can find us on Facebook under Mickey's Black Box or Instagram under Mickey's Black Box.
So we never know what's going to be happening. Things are being created all the time there, right?
That is true. One of the things you might notice about our schedule is sometimes it looks a little, you look one day, it might look one way, and you look next day, it might be double the size. We're always welcoming and entertaining new ideas, new artists routing through, new series that get presented to us, all sorts of new things are always being put on our plate.
Well, that's great. And I'm so glad that you're doing what you are with these young women jazz composers and throwing this out to the community so that we can see who they are. We can help support and we can educate ourselves and have a good time at the same time. So thank you both for being here, and thanks for what you do in the community. It really makes a difference.
Well, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines, reminding you to look behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.